What is really holding you back? Struggling with weight gain, higher belly fat, high blood sugars or blood pressure? Or how about low mood or libido? These conditions are all lifestyle based. So what's your excuse? Hi guys, Bubbs here, performance and clinical nutritionist. And today I'm going to share with you a clip from world-class NBA skills coach Drew Hanlan, who's worked with Jayson Tatum, Joel Embiid, and many, many more, about the strategy he uses to help clients overcome roadblocks and get to where they want to go. It's called the Audit. Take a listen.
Yeah, I think that every one of us has justifiable excuses. We have reasons that we have convinced ourselves for why we are where we are. Whether it was, a troubled upbringing, whether it was trauma in the past, whether it was limitations like me being I'm 5'11, I'm not very athletic, so I shouldn't play basketball. Like we all have these things that are justifiable. They seem so nice and good in our head, but they're holding us back from where we could be. And so the first part of the book is the audit. You have to identify the bullshit that you've allowed to remain in your life that is causing you the stress and struggles and limitations that you're experiencing. And I'm a big believer that you are where you are because of the actions and decisions that you've made to this point. I don't believe that you were just born where you are. I do think that people are born with better hands. I think people are born in better situations. They have better upbringings. But
Mhm.
I mean, trust me, there's been a lot of people that have had it worse than you that have made it beyond where you're at and are doing the exact things that you say aren't possible and capable for, for you. And so I always think that if there is one person out there that has come from a worse situation, that has struggled more than you, that has had more trauma than you, that has got beyond those limitations and has made it, that gives you enough proof that you could be that second person. And if you look,
Stop bullshitting yourself. If you're not happy with where you're at, if you're not fit enough, not strong enough, not lean enough, what are the excuses or what are the reasons that come to mind? As Drew says here, it's important to write them down. Get out a piece of paper, pause this video, take 5 or 10 minutes, and write down all the reasons, all the potential excuses that you give yourself for not achieving that end goal. And Drew will share part two of his strategy. Take a listen.
that. The second part is I call like a bullshit buddy. Like, who is somebody that you trust enough that will shoot it to you straight and that will help you identify your bullshit that maybe you don't want to identify? Who's gonna, call you out on the stuff that you know you need to call out if you can't give yourself that gut punch that you need? And so then that's the second part is, now let somebody else add on to that list. And
All
then
right, let's recap. First, have real clarity on the reasons or excuses you have for not achieving your goals. Write them down and be honest with yourself. Don't hold back. Part two in the process is having a friend, a teammate, a coach to help keep you accountable, to help keep you on point and moving in the right direction. It's difficult, very difficult to do these things on your own.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different things that the strategies that I outline in the book. A couple of them that come to mind. The first thing I always do is say, hey, where do you want to get to? Where are you? Look at the gap that exists, and then why does the gap exist? And that's when the excuses start flowing. And I'm like, whatever those excuses are, write them on paper, and literally in the book, it's pretty cool because I have like, there's a bunch of places where you can actually write in so that by the time you get done with the book, you have this, actionable blueprint ready. But
Love
you
it.
literally write down all the excuses, all the bad habits, all the things that are in your mind that are causing you to allow that gap to remain. And then what we have to do is we have to look at our actions, we have to look at our decisions, we have to look at our choices, and we have to say, okay, what are the things that I can control, that I can change, that I can do differently so that ultimately I stop allowing myself to settle for less than I'm capable of doing. Like I'll give you an example, a real
Yeah.
world example that has nothing to do with some of the high performers. My dad was a guy that he ran a barbecue shop, a butcher shop, a catering company. And so his excuse was always, you can't trust a skinny butcher. He's like, I don't want to ask what kind of cut of
I
meat,
love it.
to a
Yeah.
skinny guy. That was his
Like a chef,
justification
right? You
for
got to
being
have
overweight.
heavy chef.
Yeah, like, all good chefs are bigger. He's like, we like to eat our food and we like to, make sure it's all good. And my dad needed to get in shape. He was 310 pounds as a guy that was, no taller than I am, 5'11", 6 foot. And so I take him to the Super Bowl one year and he tries on this Letterman jacket. It doesn't fit. One of the brands that brought me down, it, gave it to us and it wouldn't zip up. And he's like, that's all right. I was like, Pops, we got to get your health in shape. And I told him a million times. And, he would be like, I don't care if I have a six pack. I'm happily married. I have, my kids are happy, my grandkids are happy. Like, why do I need a six pack for? So then I remember coming home from that trip and I was like, man, I got to connect with them. I can't convince them anymore. I got to connect with them. And so in that parking lot, literally our driveway, I was like, Pops, I was like, it's time. I was like, do you realize that, every morning you wake up and you don't get to give your dad a hug anymore at work because they used to work together, all because the decisions and actions he made to keep living a unhealthy life. Do you realize that my grandma, your mom, has lived a decade without her soulmate because of the decisions and actions that my grandpa, your dad, decided to, live these unhealthy choices? Do you realize that every year on his birthday, when you go take a shot of Jameson with his gravestone instead of him, it's because the decisions and actions and choices he made to allow himself to remain unhealthy. Do you realize I don't care if you have a six pack? We don't care what you look like in the mirror. We care about our dad being here. Do you want
100%.
my mom, your wife, do you want her to have to live a decade without you and experience a pain that your mom and my grandma have to experience because you made bad decisions? Do you want to see your future grandkids graduate? Because guess what? My grandpa missed my two NCAA tournament appearances, and he was my biggest fan because he passed away my sophomore year in college. He didn't get to see me play in the NCAA tournament, which is all he wanted to see because of the decisions and actions he made. And guess what? That next morning was the first day my dad ever walked. It was no longer, do I want a six pack? It was, do I want to be a healthier version of myself so I can live longer, so I can be there for my family, so they don't have
In
to.
my practice with athletes and coaches and executives, we talk about controlling the controllables. There's only four things that we can really control: attitude, effort, actions, and thoughts. Let's start with the easiest: attitude and effort. These two require no skill at all. Putting in effort requires no talent. Having a good attitude requires no skill. These are things that just require the repetition you need to be able to bring them every day in what you do, whether it's training, nutrition, lifestyle, to achieve your goals. So start there, because consistency is the best predictor of success, whether we're talking weight loss, training, etc. So if you're looking to achieve something great this year, test out Drew Hanlan's Audit, be honest with yourself, find yourself a bullshit buddy, and start building a pathway to better success. Questions, comments, hit us in the comments below, and you'll find a link to Drew's fantastic book, Stop Bullshitting Yourself, there as well.